Welcome to the second video in our series of 3, all dealing with using masks in Procreate. This video is devoted to the clipping mask, which is the sort of interim complexity mask between AlphaLock and Layer Mask. And clipping mask is the one that you want to use if you're interested in non-destructive modes of using masks. So where AlphaLock literally changes the physical pixels within a layer because AlphaLock is invoked within the same layer, clipping mask is invoked within its own layer, and so it is potentially less destructive and so less scary, I guess. Because if your canvas gets closed down for some reason, when you're halfway through something, you haven't actually destroyed anything. You can go back and pick up or undo really easily rather than having to redo work. So in this video, I will show you again where to find the clipping mask, how to actually use it, and you'll see that it doesn't give different results necessarily from what the AlphaLock mask does, but it does it in a less destructive way. So we're going to do exactly the same as we did before so that we can compare apples with apples. Let's tap into our layer menu, and you can see we've got outline. As I mentioned, the first thing that we do is create a new layer above the layer that we want to change. So what we're wanting to do is change the color of that black outline to purple. And so we tap on the outline layer, and then we tap plus, and we add in a layer above the outline layer. And I'm going to rename that layer. I'm just going to call it mask for outline. And then within that new layer that I've just created, I tap on the layer again, and I've got various options you can see. And so I say clipping mask. And you can see that when I tap clipping mask, I get this little arrow pointing down towards the layer below, and that just shows me that Procreate has associated these two layers. It says, I can see that you've created a new layer, and I will use whatever's happening in the layer directly below this layer that you created as the reference for what I allow you to put or show in the new layer. So let's tap into our canvas, make sure that we're using a good fat round brush, and it's at 100% opacity, and we've selected purple. So we're off to the races. I'm just going to start scribbling. So I scribble like crazy. Scribble, 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 scribble. And you can see there I've happily turned the outline to purple. If we tap back into our layer manager, you can see the extent of my scribbling. I literally painted the place purple, but the only place that that purple shows up is where there were formerly black outlines, or where there are black outlines in the associated layer that I was using as my reference layer. So that's how it works with a clipping layer. Let's go and do the same thing that we did before, changing the green hill to brown. So remember, the first thing we do is we tap to add a layer above the green layer. Then we just rename it so that it is meaningful. So mask for green. And once we've done that, we tap on a mask for green layer and we select clipping mask. We make sure that that arrow has appeared. And now we go ahead and choose our color, the sandy brown. We tap back into our canvas and we scribble like crazy. And if we go over the pink pig, it's not a problem. And if we go over the black outline of the hill, not a problem. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Tap back into our layer manager and you can see, again, painted the whole bottom of the canvas wildly brown, but it only shows up where there was originally green. And again, we do have this thing of where the original pixels were not 100% opacity behind the pig at the edge of the hill. They are still not 100% opacity. So we are confined by the opacity of what was going on before. But otherwise, we have managed to achieve what we wanted to, but without destroying the original colored pixels, the black outline or the green color of the hill. So we've got pretty much, it looks like the same result, but we've got it without sacrificing any of the work that we did before. So we can roll back really easily. That's your clipping mask, and it's time to look at our final layer mask.